Hi, and welcome back to Pinky Boo Hauntings. I'll be your witchy host, Shy, and I'll be your guide to all things paranormal, weird, and spooky. Dudes, I hope you're ready. I found a story that might be a really good one. I know. I say that all the time, but the title on this one got me. I was so excited to read it for the last episode, but it was so long. I think it might take up at least half of the episode on its own. So I figured I move it over to this one and start things off with a bang. So I hope you're ready for this one, and I hope it does end up being as good as I think it will be. This story is called Him. Why I stopped touching Ouija boards after grade 9. Back in grade 8 and 9, I was obsessed with the paranormal. I had a girlfriend at the time who was really into Wicca, and she was the one who got me into this shit. Before long, we were playing with a Ouija board every single day. Wait, why play with a Ouija board that much? That seems like a lot. Does that seem like a lot to you guys? I do hope you closed it out properly. Though I doubt an 8th grader is going to do that. There wouldn't also be this long ass story if they did. After about a month of using it regularly, it started identifying itself the same way every time. We'd ask, "Who are we speaking with?" And the reply was always, "Him." I'm sorry, does this demon think it's him from the Powerpuff Girls? They could only dream to be as iconic as that queen. At first, we weren't really scared. We were just kids. But him eventually turned hostile. I'm not surprised at all. Because it's definitely trying to mess with you and wants to scare you. The board started swearing and telling us to fuck off. I got weirdly angry about it one day and just flipped the board off the table mid session. I stopped playing for a bit after that. For a minute, I thought you were going to say you flipped the board off. Honestly, that would have been funnier. But things didn't stop. Well, yeah, it was probably feeding off your energy and building up enough strength to really mess with you. Probably why it was trying to piss you off. It wasn't just trying to be rude, it wanted to get a reaction out of you and make you as angry as it could. A few weeks later, I was working the night shift at Walmart, stocking shelves. Out of nowhere, I heard a whisper. Just my name. I thought I imagined it, but then it happened again, louder. I checked the next aisle to see if someone was messing with me, but no one was there. When the third whisper happened, it was loud enough that I actually yelled out, "Hello? Who the fuck is calling my name?" Yeah, that thing is probably attached to you now, 'cause you were the one that gave it the reaction it wanted. About 40 seconds later, a coworker walked up to me. She looked shaken. She asked if I heard my name being called 3 times. When I said yeah, she told me she was a medium and that it was a sign someone in my family is going to die. Okay, I don't think I've ever heard of that before. I think the thing that was talking to you through the board was just messing with you, or a spirit that was trying to get your attention. I thought it was kind of weird for her to come up and, like, with full confidence, call yourself a medium. I'm into the paranormal, but I reserve skepticism. So I tried to keep that conversation regular and started talking about my plans for the future. She interrupted me mid sentence, looking right at me. Every time you talk about your future, I can hear something snickering, like something negative. It's attached to you. It's trying to ruin your plans. Ha! I knew it was attached to you. The day you flipped that board, it knew it could mess with you. She had no idea about the board. I felt the blood drain from my face as I instantly connected that it was him. Maybe that's why she was so confident. She knew what she could do and probably was working on her abilities for a long time. I mean, the fact that she could hear the voices messing with you, too, says a lot. Hell, if you're still into the paranormal, you should befriend her. I bet she could tell you some stories. I went home after my shift and got into bed, only to be woken up by the house phone. I heard my mom in the hall saying, "Oh no, that's terrible. I'm so sorry." Adrenaline surged through me. Before she even hung up, I was downstairs, asking what happened. She told me someone in her family, someone I didn't really have a relationship with, had just died. I was shitting bricks, but the Walmart experience honestly made me way more intrigued. Even though it was freaky as hell, having it all confirmed like that just made me want to push it further. I invited my best friend and my girlfriend over to play in my parents' basement. Are you seriously going to mess with the Ouija board again? Why do that at that point? Other than to close out the session you clearly didn't close out last time. This was the last time I played for several years. It was midday and no one was home. We've been playing for like 20 minutes. Suddenly, the three of us started randomly smelling breakfast sausage frying. It was unmistakable and completely out of place. We asked the board if it was him, and it said yes. Why breakfast sausage of all smells? Does it think it's an evil smell or something that would scare anyone? Because I don't think that would be my first reaction. This spirit kind of sucks at scaring people. My parents came home later and made us supper. Was it breakfast sausage? We paused to eat and then went back to the basement to play. We were really pushing it now, asking the board to prove it was there. Why would you do that? Also, it already did that with the smell of breakfast sausage, the scariest breakfast food of them all. You know what? I always say to not antagonize a spirit, but I don't know that I could keep my mouth shut if I was there. I'd probably make it worse because I'd start laughing my ass off. We were asking it to touch us, and we were moving around the room, trying to feel for cold spots. Eventually, my girlfriend and I agreed to take it a step further, and I asked the board if it could possess her. What the actual fuck is wrong with you? For anyone listening to this, please, for the love of God, do not do that. It's just not worth whatever it is you're trying to do. This is insane. The planchette moved faster than I've ever seen. Yes. Then it began to count down. 3, 2, 1. Seriously, why would you ask it to do that? You both are so stupid. Unbelievably stupid. The light bulb over our heads started to buzz, then flicker. Then it just went out. We were in complete darkness. I screamed at the top of my lungs and ran upstairs. Damn, way to leave your girlfriend and best friend down there. As I got up to the living room where my dad was watching TV, I saw the sky through the big window flash bright white. The transformer across the street had blown. I don't know how that shit works, but in my mind, the transformer blowing should be the cause of the lights going out. But the light bulb above us buzzed and died first. And then, like 15 seconds after we were already upstairs, the transformer went. My buddy was still downstairs swearing because he tried to run but slammed into a wall in the dark. In the heightened scare of the moment and trying to explain the chaos to my parents, I kind of forgot about my girlfriend. About 20 seconds later, she casually walked upstairs. She looked like she had no idea why there was any commotion. There wasn't 1 ounce of fear in her. She walked past me. In a voice that was several octaves deeper than her own, she muttered something chilling right at me. Yeah, that girl is possessed. I said, "What?" And she just looked at me and said, "What?" in her normal voice, acting like she hadn't said a word. Then she did the exact same thing to my buddy. I told her she needs to go home. She lived around the block, and she walked home. Dude, she doesn't need to go home. She needs an exorcism. The fuck? My buddy and I, who I'm still friends with today, pretty much slept with the lights on for a month. And I actually ran away from home that night because I was so freaked out. My parents told me later that it was just a coincidence. Wind blew a branch into it. I accepted that. However, around 10 years ago, at a family function, it came up. They told me they just said coincidence to calm me down, that there was no wind that night. Parents are so good at gaslighting kids when it comes to the paranormal. I still wonder to this day how much my dad was trying to gaslight me when I was being messed with in our haunted house. Either way, you are so stupid for messing with that Ouija board and for asking it to possess your girlfriend. Speaking of her, what happened to her after that day? Was she okay? I really hope she ended up being okay. I really hope she put a protection spell on herself or something and wasn't stupid to mess with that shit without a backup plan. Ugh, you guys are so stupid, I swear. Let's move on from these dumb kids to an annoying blue ghost kid. That's the name of our next story, by the way. I remember when I had a bunk bed in the summer and I'd be chilling on my phone, and then I'd get this feeling that I'm being watched or a presence. The best way to describe the feeling to those that haven't experienced it, it feels kind of like when someone comes in a room with you when you're alone and they leave and you don't realize it. That feeling you get when you realize they're gone is the best way to describe it. Anyways, watching a Corey Kenshin try not to laugh when I felt a presence, looked up, and could make out a little blue kid in the darkness at the end of my bed. Ew, why is he blue? Now that I think about it, it kind of looked like Eyeless Jack, but if he was a 4-year-old. It had a smile on its face and was oddly still. I wasn't scared, but I was weirded out, so I flicked my hand at it, and it disappeared. Not you just shooing off a creepy ass child spirit away like it was nothing. At least it listened, though. Maybe he wasn't as bad as he seemed, by his looks. A lot of other stuff happened before and after that, but I'm mostly focusing on the blue kid. I don't know how many other nights passed, but it was one night when I was on my phone, probably grinding for a stun baton on Call of Duty Mobile, when I felt the same feeling. I was annoyed because I didn't like it, so I silently cursed it out before kicking at it. Since then, I haven't seen it. But yeah, that sums it up. Tell me if any of you guys dealt with something like this too. Like, actually. I love the way you're dealing with the spirit. Instead of being scared of it, you're just annoyed at it. It's almost like a little brother you don't want in your room. I still love that when you basically told it to fuck off, it listened. If you do this instead of letting it scare the shit out of you, it will probably leave you alone. Alright, let's move on to our last story. This one is called Do You Believe in Signs from Beyond? After my sister died 5 years ago, I stopped believing in all things spiritual. I used to read tarot, but I stopped. I don't believe in the afterlife or someone's spirit looking after me. I believe in coincidence and randomness. Not everything happens for a reason. I'm about to change workplaces after 3 years at a place I mostly love with people I've grown to care about. I'm leaving. I'm headed somewhere further away where my antisocial self has to make new friends and make new impressions on people. I understand that feeling. I'm not good at meeting new people, and it takes so long for me to warm up. So I definitely get the anxiety that comes with changing jobs. I've been struggling with the fact that everything is about to change. What's really reeling from it today, as tomorrow is my last day at my current place. As I walked outside to head to my car, I heard a croak. I honestly, upon first glance, thought there was a cat down the road throwing up. When I took a second look, I saw that it was not a cat. It was, in fact, a raven. I have never seen one in person before, and I quickly Googled it. This bird was humongous and croaked. That is a characteristic that separates it from the crows. I've seen crows. I like crows. But this was not a crow. He sat for a moment and flew off. And I thought to myself, my next Google will be what does that mean? For someone that's not spiritual anymore, you sure are Googling some weird things. But who am I to judge? I do it too. Except, obviously, I am spiritual. Messengers from the spiritual to the physical world, wisdom, intelligence, transformation, deep change, letting go of the old and embracing the new. I'm thrown for a loop. Cried. After that, I felt relief. I wasn't reeling anymore. Still nervous about the new path I'm taking, but also looking forward to it. This doesn't make me believe, I don't think, but it's something. I know it doesn't matter what I say, but to me, this feels like you do believe, but are either scared to believe or don't want to believe. Because it does seem like you didn't get a visit from your sister. Maybe you felt like none of the paranormal could be real, and that's fair. You lost your sister, and that must have been so hard on you. And while I'm not sure if that was her sending you a message, I do believe someone was looking out for you and was trying to cheer you on. Maybe even trying to help ease some of your anxiety, which seemed to have worked, and it seemed to have given you some comfort. So, no matter what, you do have that. And I really do hope you keep that with you. This is also why I say that sometimes we get signs that maybe we don't recognize as signs. Obviously, don't go looking for signs in everything. It'll happen naturally. Just try not to close your mind off to them, if that makes sense. Anyways, if you're liking the podcast, consider rating and reviewing. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, like and subscribe. Also, if you please, could you spread the word about the coven? The more witches, the better, right? And if you have a story of your own you'd like to hear on the podcast, send me an email. The email is in the show notes or the description below. But for now, the coven is adjourned. See you next time. Bye.